your new Toyota Starlet Cross. Own it.
iDiskiTV powered by World Sports Betting. iDiski Times, a CEO Dozere. Very, very big moment. It's a shift, really, in the expectation of what we thought was a title race. I just want to thank Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns for giving us a better season than what we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, where by December we already knew who won. Does kind of smell and feel like it's the end of whatever the title race was. It is Marumo Gallants beating Orlando Pirates in Free State. Very buzzing, big number of people who were there with expectation. Well done to Marumo Gallants with their new coach, a Moroccan coach as well. Tough luck to Orlando Pirates. You try again next year. You still have some of those young players, very good young players playing on your side. Lindo Pep, what did you see in that game? Do you agree that it might as well be the end of the title race?
Yeah, I think he's stripping, he's pulling.
Sure.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the league is gone. The league is over. But let's congratulate you, Orlando Pirates, on with how they started the season. I'm hoping because they should see positives out of this. It's been a 20 points gap. It's been 15 points. I think what they are playing for now is to ensure that they reduce this gap because they can probably try again this next season. I did say in the beginning of the season that my biggest worry is the fact that their second squad is their main squad. The players that are not seasoned as yet, but release Figo, who I felt they should have kept in that squad. They released players like Dash, Ben, Munare, and so many players.
Yeah.
They released so many players. That is because they believed in the players that they have now. They thought maybe these players will get them into challenging for the league, which is, in my opinion, they've done very well. You're looking at Abombata. This is probably his first full season, as well as Urile Mfukeng, even though last season Utito is only his third season because the first one was with Supersport and so many Mohaunkota, and so many of them. Even Sesan is first full season.
This was a breakout season for him. He did really well.
It did very, very well, and unfortunately the boy is out for the season. I went to go and see him. Has an Achilles injury.
Sure.
Yeah. So to be honest,
he's in good spirits.
Emotional support at this moment in time is the most important thing. I think this is his first big injury because an Achilles injury, Achilles and ACL are normally like the two biggest injuries in football. Long-term injury, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so he's got the right emotional intelligence from the former captain, Happy Chele, as well as myself, Nabu.
Emotional support.
Yeah. We are always there for the boy.
Yeah, let's talk about Paris. You are following this logic of they would have relied too much on these young kids to take them there. But I'm also saying that as a content creator, as someone who has to build a narrative around who's doing well in South African football, I'm grateful that Pirates pushed. Yeah. And if we were using common sense and logic, we would have looked at it and say, you can't really win a league with 20-year-olds. Yeah. You have to build them up. Maybe by the time they're 22, then they are ready. It does even smell like they will be ready next year, hopefully, if they add a few pieces to the puzzle.
Nicolego, the only people I feel sad for are the fans. Because the fans genuinely believe that they could do something. This is probably going to be the most painful season for them because they genuinely believe that they can take the league away from Mamelodi Sundowns. You listen to people like Abafana Nabotso, even myself, Nkulego, to be honest with you. I think I'm known for being a Sundowns fan, but I love football more than loving any football club.
Sure.
And for me, in my opinion, I enjoyed seeing Orlando Pirates do well. I enjoyed seeing Orlando Pirates pushing Mamelodi Sundowns. And also, my belief is Mamelodi Sundowns are well experienced in winning this thing. They realize that the Orlando Pirates is pushing them so hard. And also, it's important to mention that there's a reason why we tipped the Orlando Pirates to do something this season. Remember that even under Coach Mangoba, they failed to beat Stellenbosch. We couldn't score. There were no chances created. Failed to beat that team from Imanyema. Failed to beat Imanyema and lost against Imakes. We all believe that Orlando Pirates can do well because they went on a run of winning 7 games. Yeah.
At the same time, Sundowns under Coach Mangoba in the first few months of the season were looking like they're just going to be somewhere up top, maybe 2, number 3, number 4. They were making it possible for a title race until the Sundowns changed the coach.
I think the change of the coach was a sign to Sundowns that they are fearing something. They are seeing something that Orlando Pirates can do. And all of us had the very same fear. But now they realized they brought in about 3 players in the January transfer window. And they were ruthless in their decision-making. For me, I always say, Nkulego, big clubs need to be ruthless in terms of decision-making. They released Gilberto. They were supposed to go in all out for Apolis. I understand for a monetary value with Jaden Adams, they were supposed to give a Manyama player, like Abondlondo, players that they don't want to use. Because you can see, they don't want to use Quimvidi. There's players there that the coach doesn't believe in. You can see by the fact that he is constantly having the very same lineup. And another thing, Nkulego, it's very important to mention that if there's players that they want, they in the transfer window, they have to be aggressive in how they get those players. They have to be intentional because Orlando Pirates is moving to a systematic team. They sign systematic players that fit their style of play. So I understand from a model to say we are not just going to get anyone. It's about the personnel and the profile. It's not about the player, right? So, but now that's the approach that they need to make. But they need to be aggressive in terms of decision making because the Sundowns shows them the team that they're competing with. It shows them they went aggressive. They couldn't get to Jaden in January. They made sure they get him. They realized that they needed another centre back after Umvala got a long-term injury.
They got Keanu Cupido.
They got Keanu Cupido.
And those are players we can also say that Orlando Pirates could be competing for to sign. And maybe that's where you lose it and win it. And I do think that also the start, it was a skewed fixture for Orlando Pirates. It may have been an advantage at the beginning, but the fact that you don't play some of these matches, at some point you're going to have to play them. Also, they must have played 5 or 6 matches at the beginning of the season at home. It was something that I was like, okay, but at some point that means you're going to have to travel then, which is tonight they were traveling. They've been traveling to catch up to the too many games that they played at home with this fixture scheduling.
Nkulego, also the fixture scheduling, you can question also and say, they had easier games. Okay, maybe let's not say easier games.
I agree
but
with
the fixture,
you.
The fixture was lenient.
The teams that they played against were teams, the teams that they were supposed to beat. The orange team from Limpopo. Magesi, Polokwane City. All of the teams that you expected them to beat at the beginning. So even that, there was not a good mix of difficult fixture, easier fixture, and so on. But I still am grateful for the title race. Let's talk a little bit about this game before we wrap it up. What did Marumo Gallants get right today? Because it does feel like Pirates also could have scored 2 goals, for example, but also Marumo Gallants could have scored more than they scored.
Oh, Uncle Lego, let's talk about a very good game to watch. For me, in my opinion, I sat down watching the game and I thought to myself, these are the games I want to watch. Very energetic. Maybe from a technical perspective, you wouldn't find it pleasing because both teams were emotional. I think Marumo Gallants, they play almost similar or identical to ETS Gallants. Very energetic. Typical Potola Pro. Typical Moroccan football. Very defensive in terms of I'm a full back and overlap. You see Umabocha before Limala, even the left back that came on, the right back, Katabanga Kupugi. Very solid in terms of back 4 communication, even though they lost to Aruba. I don't know if he broke his arm. Abu Ulentuza, Ekna understood his role as well, played like a typical defensive midfielder. He was not too much on the ball. And then they had a responsibility, simply game plan up. Make sure that you consolidate, drop the line a little bit deep so that they don't run behind because they always want to run behind. But now what is fascinating, and I expect him to do this in each and every game that he approaches. And this would even make our league better if teams played like this.
Not only against Pirates, against anyone you're playing next.
Can coaches give front three the responsibility to do their job as much as the defense is doing their job? As a fullback, defend. As an attacker, I like the fact that Umahango today didn't have any defensive responsibilities. Stay up front, make sure that you compete for first ball, second ball. The very same with Sendan and Ozikot. I think that front three, Marumo Gallants today, in my opinion, all 3 of them are the men of the match.
One more thing. Do you think from the psychological pressure, mathematically it's not over, but it does look like, symbolically it is over, 18-point gap, whatever. And I think the Pirates players are clever enough to understand, even the fans to understand that this is just, it's a matter of time, Joe. Mathematically it will be over because it's 18 points for Sundowns and the matches are running out. Do you think this negatively affects their CAF, the way that they view their Champions League? Because they are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's something to fight for as well.
I don't think so. I think Mokhoje Rivero is a tournament coach. I think the profile of the squad and the personnel is that, as you can see, how they approached this game when they were losing. They were all frustrated. It's a typical tournament team. In my opinion, also, they need to start believing in Ngumabasa Nkulego. They need to give Umabasa more game time because for me, in my opinion, was the best player.
But they're still good in the Champions League.
In the Champions League, they're still good. I think because they're a tournament team and they know how to play a game, a single game. They don't like reference. I think they will probably do well in the Champions League.
There you are. Thank you very much, Lindo Pep. There's too many matches that we watched today. We thank you to everyone who was able to keep up and watch all of these videos, or one or the other. As long as you were here today, we appreciate you. iDiskiTV, iDiski Times was suspecting. For breaking news, go to iDiskiTimes.co.za.
Shapunjan bafowethu igama lami Lindo Pep, the best analyst in the country. Please don't forget to subscribe to iDiskiTV. Tanko.
This is Bongane Benedict Villagazi, they call me so. Niyazi bafowethu, ama coach for life, they are back in winning ways. Please, siyacela ukuthi subscribe iDiskiTV.